Okay, it's not that serious, okay? Yes, you're there to make money, but it's not that serious. Hey everyone, my name is Staj. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am the co-founder of the Edge 11 eyewear brand. And today we're going to get into vendor markets and pop-up shops. I'm going to tell you 5 things that you should have to help you make more sales, or just if you're new getting into vendor markets or pop-up shops. These are some of the things you want to make sure you have on your list and that you're considering when you're going to vendor markets. So just a little background on me as a business owner. This has actually been the first year where we've really dove deep into getting more into vendor markets. If you don't know, when I say we, I'm talking about me and my mother. So we're co-founders of the Edge 11 eyewear brand, and we really wanted to make going to vendor markets and pop-up shops a big priority this year. We really just wanted to get our brand and our name out there, and we felt that, just getting more engagement face to face would really help with that. So this year we've done, I'd say, almost 10 pop-up shops and vendor markets this year. We do have one more coming up in a few weeks. I really wanted to give you some tips and tricks just based on my experience as a business owner, and also what I feel that you should have as a business owner, especially if you're new to this. Sometimes you don't know where to start or you don't know what to prioritize. So let's get into it. Okay, the first thing you need is a welcoming setup. Now, it's so easy to just, bring your fold up table, just a tablecloth, put your products on it, and that's it. But you really want it to be very strategic in how you set up. First thing you want to make sure is that your brand or your name or your business name is visible to some capacity and in several ways. So you can do that by having a tablecloth that has your business name or your business brand on it. If you have signage that has your name or pictures of your products, people should know who you are as soon as they come to the table. So something that we have is a tablecloth with our logo on it. We also have a sign that we'll have up on a little stand with our logo and pictures of a couple of the sunglasses that we sell. And then also just on the table as well, make sure people know who you are and they can really say, okay, this is brand XYZ, or this is your brand. So for us, that was really important to make sure that as soon as you come to our table, you know who you're shopping with. Along with that, you want to make sure that your products are displayed in a way where people are not overwhelmed when they come to your table, but also aren't underwhelmed. So, for example, if you're selling candles or if you're selling, body care products, make sure it's displayed in a way where people would want to engage with it. Add different layers or colors to your table. Make sure you're adding texture to your table. So, for example, don't just put all of your products just flat on the table, right? You can get some stands, or you can make some risers, look up some DIY options where you can kind of put your objects on something that's tiered, so it gives people an idea of all of the products that you sell rather than just seeing that you have your products displayed on a table. Because let's be honest, if you're going to a vendor market or a pop-up shop and you just see 3 of the products just displayed on the table, how likely are you going to be shopping with that person or that business or that vendor? So you really want to be strategic in how you display your products, and depending on what you sell, you can kind of think of different ideas and how you want to do that. One thing I did a lot was really go on Pinterest to see how people were displaying their products, even if the products were different than what we're selling. I got an idea of what to put on the table, because ultimately you only have a certain amount of space on your table. So you don't really want to just throw all of your products flat on the table and that's it. You want to make sure that you're, adding space vertically where you can, like I said, maybe you're adding tiers, maybe you're adding different levels. It gives customers, something to look around at Whereas if they're just coming to the table and they just see, you know, a couple products on there, they're less likely to shop with you. I'm going to be honest. So that's something to really think about as well, is making sure that your products are displayed in a way that's very engaging and also allows people to kind of see the various items that you have. Again, you don't want to make sure that it's overwhelming where you have literally every single thing clustered and stacked together. You have to think about it in the perspective of a shopper. If there's too much going on, as a consumer, as a customer, you're not really going to know what to buy, what to purchase, what gauges your interest, because you just see a bunch of stuff. You just see stuff laid on the table and it kind of gets, you know, overwhelming. So you want to make sure that, yes, you're displaying enough of your products that people can shop with variety from your store. But then again, you want to make sure that it's not over cluttered, it's not clustered, it's not overwhelming to the point where, you know, you can't really make a decision on what you should be buying. So please keep that in mind when you're doing your setup. Another thing you want to think about when it comes to your setup is adding colors. When we first started to do pop-up shops and things like that, you know, we had our tablecloth. We just had a plain black tablecloth, and we had, you know, our products laid on there. But then, you know, I was just doing more research, like, you know, adding a little bit more texture, adding pops of color. We added like a little runner in the middle of our table that's like a mustard yellow, and it adds a really nice touch of color. Even if your store's colors or your shop's colors are very muted or very like simple, like make sure that customers understand the type of vibe that you're giving off with your products. Make sure people are aware of the type of shop you are, and really displaying those colors on your table will also make it really engaging. Another thing too, whenever I go to the vendor markets or the pop-up shops as a vendor, not only will I walk around to just, you know, see the other vendors or meet the other vendors, but I also want to draw sources of inspiration to see how they're doing their setup, or what colors they have, or how they're branding their tables. So this is all very important, and this is all something that you really want to consider when you're getting into your vendor markets. The second thing you really want to make sure you have is multiple forms of payment. When we first started out, we actually decided to get the tap to pay POS through Shopify. So it's a little device where a person can tap either their card or their phone if they have like Apple Pay or Google Pay, and that's how they pay, through their card digitally. Or it also has an option to kind of insert your card as well if anyone wanted to insert their card. But now this is been a little bit more of an easier route, is we just have to take our phone. Like, we don't even need that device, because with that device you have to connect to another device such as an iPad or a phone where you have Wi-Fi for that, or you have some type of internet connectivity. And sometimes when we go to these vendor markets, it's very hard to find Wi-Fi. And so with our phone, we're guaranteed to have service. 99% of the time we have service. I haven't had an issue or a situation where we haven't had service on our actual phone. But when it comes to Wi-Fi, that can be a little bit trickier. And so with that device, we used to bring and connect our device to our iPad and, you know, be able to do our orders through there. But again, if there's no Wi-Fi, we're kind of screwed. So I was also connecting to my hotspot on my phone to use on my iPad to use the POS device. And it started to become a lot. You also have to make sure that the device is fully charged before you use it as well. So now I just bring my phone. So someone can literally just tap to pay instead of on that device. They just tap on top of my phone, or they tap their card on my phone, and that's how they pay. So that's an option that you can think about if you have Shopify. I know Square has the little devices as well that you can connect to your phone, where a person can swipe their card as well, or kind of tap as well. That's also an option. But make sure that you have forms of payment where if someone wants to pay with a card or with their phone, like Apple Pay, make sure you have an option to that. To me, I feel that's the most common form of payment is doing tap to pay. So make sure that you definitely have that as an option, whether it be a POS system or just strictly through your phone. Another thing you want to make sure you have when it comes to payment is just change for cash. There have been a couple of times before where we didn't bring enough cash, or maybe we didn't bring cash at all, and customers wanted to pay with cash, but we didn't have change to give them. So you want to make sure that you're bringing, singles or change for cash for in cases that people do want to pay with cash, because it's less common, but people do still pay with cash. And so you don't want to lose a sale because you didn't have change, or you weren't able to, give them change for what they want to purchase. Another thing that I've seen that's pretty common at the vendor markets that I've been to when I walk around to look at other vendors is some vendors also take like Zelle, Venmo, or Cash App as forms of payment. We haven't started doing that yet. We do have a Zelle account, but we don't have our QR code up there to display on the table for people to pay. But that's also another option as well. All you can do is just print out your QR code for each of those apps, Zelle, Cash App, or Venmo, and people can pay through there as well. So that's definitely an option if you don't want to do POS. Something that I really like about just the Shopify app and the POS app, whether you're using the device or your phone, is that you can easily keep track of your inventory when you get sales. So if someone buys a product from you, that automatically deducts the number of items you have left for that particular thing in your inventory. Whereas if you're doing it through Cash App or Zelle or Venmo, you're not really going to know how much you have left unless you go into your website's back end, whether it be Square or Shopify or whatever the case is. You would likely have to manually deduct that amount from your inventory. So that's something to keep in mind. Just definitely have options when it comes to forms of payment, but also know that in my experience, tap to pay has been the most common form of payment. All right, the third thing you want to have is some sort of sign up list for email marketing. So this actually isn't that common in terms of what I've seen when I've gone to vendor markets. But what we actually have is just a sign up sheet. People can put their name, their email, and their phone number, and they get added to our marketing list. And this is great if you want to get exposure of your brand to potential customers. And this is the part I love about going to vendor markets, is you're getting your name out there even more, right? So let's say a customer comes to your table or your booth, they're browsing around, they're looking around. Maybe it's not really in their budget to buy something today, but they're still interested in the products that you have, or maybe the new arrivals that you will have potentially. One thing you can do is have them sign up to, it's just a sheet, it's just a sign up list, and they put down their name, their email, and their phone number, and you can go in and add it to your email marketing. So now you have more people to send out, your marketing to through email or phone number, or however you do your online marketing. So that's also a really good option to have. Because you're not only getting customers who purchase that day, you're getting potential customers as well. And then also you want to make sure that your brand is really fresh in their brain, right? So let's say you go to a vendor market on a Saturday, someone comes to your table, they sign up to the marketing list, and you send out a new email maybe on Sunday, or you send out an email midweek and say, thank you for attending our pop-up shop. We'd really love to give you a 10% off discount code or free shipping or things like that. You're already fresh in their brain, and they obviously signed up for a reason, right? They wanted to hear more from you. So this is a great opportunity for you to even grow your list. When it comes to marketing for your store or for your shop, it's not just social media. You really have to build your list of email and phone number marketing, because like I said, people are signing up for this list for a reason. And so they want to hear from you. They want you to bug them. They want you to send them a bunch of emails. Even if they don't buy until a year later, right? You're still in their brain, you're still in their head. And so they have an idea of who you are, what you're selling, the new things that you're selling, the new items that you come out with. And that gets really exciting to know that people are really interested in what you have and what you're going to be selling. So keep that in mind in terms of when you're going to vendor markets, is get really creative in getting new people aware of your brand and your store. They don't necessarily have to buy right that day, but maybe they'll buy a month later, maybe they'll buy 2 months later, maybe they're just waiting for, honestly, people sometimes are just waiting for a little sale. So if you do, a 10%, 15% off sale here and there, or free shipping, or a BOGO thing, people sometimes are waiting for that, and that's fine. But again, you're growing your marketing list. You're getting more people engaged and in touch with your brand and who you are. So consider adding an email marketing list or an email marketing sign up, or just a marketing sign up in general to your table. The next thing you should consider adding to your vendor market pop-up shop table is giveaways and freebies. So something that we have at our table is when someone makes a purchase, we have a little spinning wheel. They spin the wheel, and depending on what they land on, they can get something like $5 off their next order. They can get maybe free shipping. They can get a certain percentage off their next order. And this kind of incentivizes people to not only purchase from your store or from your shop, but also to purchase for a second time from your shop. Gets people really excited about purchasing. And so when you have an engaging type of activity, people become very interested. And again, you're really drawing people in to not just purchase once, but purchase more than once, purchase twice, purchase 3 times. And so that's something that we have at our table. So I would highly suggest that you have, even if it's not the spinning wheel, maybe a freebie, maybe if you're selling candles, you give a free sample of something. And this could be with a purchase or just in general, right? To get people to really know your product and understand what you're selling. This is actually fun to have. And again, it's very engaging. It keeps people wanting to come back and purchase from you again. Honestly, people love free stuff, okay? Let's be real. People love a free item, a free something, money off, percentage off, just anything. And so when you can incentivize people to purchase from you or purchase more from you, that's even better when you have that at a vendor market. So I would highly suggest doing some type of giveaway, some type of freebie, some type of, buy something and you get this amount off to bring more people to your table. You can even do something along the lines of, hey, if you follow us, if you tag us, if you sign up to our email list, we'll give you a free item. Find different ways and get creative in how you can get people to really have fun at your table and not just be like, oh, we're just selling stuff. Like, make it more engaging, make it fun. People want to have fun when they're coming to your table. So, incentivize people, gamify it a little bit, and, think of ways where you can get creative from that aspect. Okay, the last thing you want to make sure you have when you are going to these vendor markets are a smile. It sounds kind of corny, but let's be honest. As a customer, as a consumer, if you're going to a vendor market, a pop-up shop, you're perusing, you're browsing to see who's selling what, right? And a person is just sitting there, they're on their phone, they're not really looking at you, or they just say hi, they're very low energy. What are the chances that you're actually going to purchase from that person, right? Especially if that person is a small business owner or just any business in general, right? You want to be greeted. You want to be seen as valuable. You want people to really reel you in, right? And kind of tell me why I should buy this product. Why should I spend my hard-earned money on this product? And that's something you want to keep in mind when you're at these vendor markets and pop-up shops. Really have a good attitude. Just go with a good attitude. You could only get one sale that day, but you should treat everyone the same way, whether they buy a product from you or not. And so I think it's really important to be very engaging with anyone that stops by your table. Say hi, hello, how are you? This is our business. This is what we do. This is what we sell. This is our mission, da 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 da. And it doesn't have to be a full on, kind of manufactured type of ordeal, but make sure it's authentic. Make sure you're being yourself. Make sure that you're being engaging and polite. And when someone comes to your table, just a simple smile and hello, how are you? Do you see anything you're interested in? Just strike up a simple conversation, and people love that. That's the whole point of kind of getting out there, right? Is to have that dynamic and that conversation with people that you can't always have online or through social media. So really take advantage of being in front of people and just have conversation and smile. I think that's really important. And there have been times where we're just waiting for people to come around. It may be a slow market, but as soon as someone comes to us and we're like, hi, hello, like, how are you? We're very giddy. We're very ourselves. We're very, happy to see people. And we get excited when we see people who are excited to see our products. And so it kind of we're bouncing energy off of each other. And so that's something that you want to make sure you're doing, is be very engaged and be very intentional when you're going to these vendor markets. Don't just go just to simply just make money. For me, I always have a good time, whether we make a ton of sales or if we only make one sale. I have a good time. I truly and thoroughly enjoy it, not because of just interacting with customers or potential customers, but just the energy in general, and also just getting to meet other vendors is something that I truly enjoy. And so just go with a positive attitude. That's something that I really encourage you to do. Go with a positive attitude, be happy, and smile. Okay, it's not that serious. Okay, yes, you're there to make money, but it's not that serious. That is it for my vendor market must-haves. I hope you thoroughly enjoyed this video. I hope you learned a thing or two or took away something that can give you ideas for your next vendor market or maybe even your first vendor market. I really hope you enjoyed this video, and if you're interested in more content like this, please subscribe and like this video, and also comment something in the comments below as well. I want to hear your guys' experience with vendor markets or pop-up shops, or maybe there's something that I missed that you think is very important as well. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.